Oh my goodness me. Yeah, and did you hear though there's so much to listen to, but our mixed voice is a little bit like do 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 do. And that is the thyroid tilt, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the artistry, I love her. Oh my goodness me. Make my heart melt, Faouzia. Kia ora and welcome. My name is Stevie and I am your vocal coach today because I'm so excited. We're going to be taking a look at Faouzia with Pretty Stranger. We are going to be taking a deep dive on what she is doing with her vocal technique in order to create these sounds and how you can create these types of sounds actually at home and like how you're going to do it, why she's doing it. We're going to get into all those little nitty-gritty details. So let's get straight to the vocal analysis.
International artist in the truest sense. It's led her to amass 2 billion global career streams to date. She's incredible, performing Pretty Stranger off her debut album Film Noir. Give it up for Faouzia.
Stranger, how you been? Weather's getting pretty bad again. Life has been a blur, don't you agree? And I don't recognize the man I see.
Oh my goodness me. I'm a sucker for an acoustic cover, I have to admit, and especially with cello, like make my heart melt, Faouzia. So we've got this, is just the artistry. I love her. So we've got this very, we've got a thin vocal fold there with just a tiny amount of breath coming through. And that's created by basically the vocal folds close so that they're joined at the front and they close like this, so front to back. So when we just leave a little bit of the back of the vocal fold open, we don't actually need to press the air out. When you leave the vocal folds open, the air will automatically come out when you're singing. So the idea is actually to kind of hold back the breath and sing relatively quietly to produce this type of sound.
Pretty stranger, how you been? Weather's getting pretty bad again. Life has been a blur, don't you agree?
Oh, I love that. Life has been a blur, don't you agree? She's using that lovely plane change and the vocal fold thickness change between the thicker vocal folds and even life has been a blur, don't you agree? There's like that little that plane change, and then you can kind of hear like a little It's not a yodel, but it's like similar to a yodel. Let's just hear that.
Life has been a blur, don't you agree?
So that there, life has been a blur, don't you agree? We're going from that stiff vocal fold into the thicker vocal. Do you agree with that change in the vowel there? We need to be watching the vowel shapes because they can have a huge impact on the type or on what vocal quality you're actually going to be singing in. The sort of the vowel sometimes will dictate the vocal quality.
Life has been a blur, don't you agree? And I don't recognize the man I see. Am I happy? I'm not sure.
Oh my goodness me. Yeah, and did you hear though there's so much to listen to, but did you hear at the end there with a little tiny bit of shimmers coming into the vibrato? Now vibrato is, firstly, it loves to come in at the end of phrases because that's really when we have the least amount of breath pressure and the vocal fold closure is usually a little bit better. The life has been a blur, don't you agree? Just that tiny bit of shimmer. So this is where the balance often in exercise, I'm not going to say always because like there's no such thing as like always in singing, but when I'm working with singers, often at the end of the phrase, well, that's basically how I get them to get their vibrato to kind of like appear to them, because vibrato is not created. It needs to come to the voice. And that is about breath pressure and vocal fold closure. And that's actually something that we need to look at on like a one-to-one basis, because there's so many things that can cause problems with breath pressure and also pressure in the throat, which we really don't want. And we want to determine whether it is a pharyngeal vibrato or a true vibrato. So if you're like, so yeah, I don't know, but I just really want to sound really good and have a nice vibrato in 2026, then you can apply for one-to-one singing lessons down in the description below, because my online singing school is accepting new students into our 2026 cohort. I'm so excited, and vibrato is one of the modules that we will be teaching, but there are certain steps that we need to get to reach, like actual vibrato. And that's exactly what Faouzia is doing there. There's just a slight shimmer at the end, and it's very regular and very fast.
Maybe I'm not sure. That's a question I'd rather ignore. And if you ask me, darling, I might cry. You know me, and I'm no one to lie.
I feel like this is like a Christmassy song. It feels very Christmassy, just in like the feeling, but I think it's just the ding, 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 ding with the guitar and the cello. Oh, I love an acoustic cover. I'm honestly like a sucker for them. So what I really, what captured me there was how there was no passagio between the quieter sound. So when we're doing a crescendo, so we're going from quiet to loud, that if we are in thin vocal folds, there should be no change in the sound. It shouldn't be like, we shouldn't hear that like click that can often appear. That would be going from falsetto to a thicker vocal fold. So practicing those crescendos, which is, I mean, she essentially just got like slightly louder through that second verse, or wherever we are in the song. And so we ultimately want that. That is our goal, really, to like get from quiet to loud, from thin vocal folds into thick vocal folds without having any change. And that's really a matter of like changing the breath pressure that's going on, but ultimately thickening up here at the level of the vocal folds. We'll talk a little bit about like how you can do that a little bit later, because I'm sure she's going to get even louder.
You know me, and I'm no one to lie. Think I'd rather die alone. Think it's time for me to go. Even if loving you wasn't fake. Even if I'll never be the same.
Oh gosh, there's so much to talk about. And that, like Tony, like firstly, big props to her. I know her sister does her makeup, like absolutely stunning. Gosh, just beautiful. Like there's the whole picture and everything is stunning. So when we've got the second verse here, she's getting slightly louder now. That is going into what we would call a mixed voice quality as she's going higher up in the range. Now, mixed voice is a little bit like do 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 do, because there's so many different versions of like what mixed voice actually is. And really in my world, mixed voice is about getting thicker vocal folds with lots of thyroid tilt and going further up in the range, and essentially having no passagio from the chest voice into the upper range, but not going and transitioning into a full belt, which would be, I mean, that's not what she's doing. Maybe she'll belt at the end, but so this mixed voice is keeping the vocal folds closed. We're just going to watch that again, because I'm going to stop and start a little bit more, because there's like some really interesting things that need to be looked at as to like how, firstly, how do we know that it's mixed voice, and how is she managing to go from that lower range into the higher range without making any change?
Think I'd rather die alone. Think it's time for me to go. Even if loving you wasn't fake. Even if I'll never be the same.
So firstly, there's a couple of like little markers, especially we know it's not about, it's like not loud enough. It's not like exciting enough. It doesn't sort of make us go, woo, yeah, which I know it sounds like a really bizarre way to tell if someone's in belt or not, but it is really about the mirror neurons. Like when you get that like whipped up feeling, people are tending into like real, like slightly louder vocalizations, imitating like a cheer or a yell, and that tends to be a little bit more of the belty. So when she was up here,
Think it's time for me to go.
there, think it's time for me to go. So that is a thicker vocal fold, but we can tell, like, firstly, there's not enough like energy going on in the body. We're not seeing enough of that sort of like the shoulders, knee. She's a well-trained singer, but we would still expect to see, like, for a louder vocalization, which would be more towards the belting, we would expect to see a little bit more body activation in there. But you can see she is going up like this. So when we are going up like this, that can help us to engage those lat muscles to help stabilize the smaller muscles. So we're using the big back muscles in order to stabilize the smaller muscles in the head and the neck.
Think it's time for me to go. Even if loving you wasn't fake.
I mean, also, like, the microphone just didn't go far enough away from her mouth. So that's why I'm saying it would be more of a mixed voice quality, because really the singer is the first port of call to adjust the volume. And when we're going really, really loud, we've talked about it before on the channel, we need to move slightly away from the microphone. We're not talking like this, but we're talking like a little bit away from the microphone, because we have to, sound engineers are good, but we know what we're going to do. They can't read our minds. So she didn't go far enough away from the microphone there, but she did open into more of a trumpet shape, and that trumpet shape is going to help us to stay in that slightly thicker vocal fold as we're going further up in the range.
Even if I'll never be the same. Pretty stranger close the door. Can't remember what we're fighting for. I'll never be who you want me to be.
So that whole section there, that just, it sounds so sung. And I know that might be like a little bit bizarre to hear and be like, what do you mean it sounds sung? So you can hear this sort of like, I always liken it to like the deepest sorrow. What do you wanna be? You can hear that sorrow coming into the sound, and that sorrow is really the main difference between speaking and singing, and that has to do with the thyroid cartilage. So the thyroid cartilage starts here. It's the Adam's apple, essentially, is like the front part of the thyroid cartilage. And we all have one. So what that does is when it tips forward, it helps to elongate the vocal folds. That's also what signals, like that also what, I feel like I can't speak today. That is what also helps us to bring on the vibrato. So we need thyroid tilt in order to have vibrato in the sound, but also we need to bring on thyroid tilt in order to go seamlessly from the lower chest voice into that upper mixed register. Because essentially, we're not actually changing vocal qualities. We are really allowing the vocal folds to thin as we're going higher, and that is what mixed voice is. There's not actually like any type of register shift if we are talking about like a singer with a flexible larynx without tongue tie. But it could be a matter of like a whole bunch of different things, and that is something that we will be going into about the passagio, how to sing higher in the range, and how to actually access that upper mixed register inside the 2026 Vocal Academy programming. So you can apply down the description below, because that's exactly what she's doing. She's taking thicker vocal folds and allowing them to thin as she's going further up in the range.
Close the door. Can't remember what we're fighting for. I'll never be who you want me to be.
love the mouth position there. It has to also be said that, you know, she's like this beautiful, I mean, not only does she look serene, but like we've just got this, just from a singing teacher standpoint, it's just like, oh, what a beautiful jaw position, because you can see that although her mouth is relatively closed for this section, she's singing kind of in a comfortable part of her range. So it's not loud. When we kind of close our mouth a little bit, it helps us to like cheat quiet, but then also to keep the mouth closed, we're kind of like making all of the vowels more closed. And so we're going to be, that helps to bring on that natural flip that she's accentuating in her voice, like if we keep the mouth more closed. But what's most important, she's not like clenching her jaw shut. She's just got this like beautiful jaw position where we're not clenching in the masseter muscle like whatsoever. So this bad boy we want to make sure is basically like not joining in the party.
And Mama has been worried about me. Think I'd rather die alone. Think it's time for me to go.
Okay, I thought she was going to go for it. So she did a really lovely thing there where Faouzia just took the larynx slightly lower and beefed up the thickness of the vocal folds. That's a way for us to gain like the next level, if you could call it, of the sound without necessarily getting louder, but she's sort of beefing it up and digging in a little bit.
Worried about me.
So we go, me. And then she lightened back up off there again, because if we're looking for speed within the sound, we need to make sure that we are thinning the vocal folds, because like thick old, you know, like chest voice, very hard to riff on, like hardcore chest voice.
Think I'd rather die alone. Think it's time for me to go.
And that's what so many singers are missing. This thyroid thing. Think it's time for me to go. And you can hear that go, that whoa. I love that, because we can really hear that moan, and that is the thyroid tilt, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we have to have it in order to go further up in the range. We can see that she opened her mouth slightly, but again, very cool, calm and collected jaw position. She's got beautiful posture anyway. So I think, you know, especially at her level of training, and also obviously, you know, we know that she's a pianist, she's a violinist as well. So she's got lots of experience in singing behind the piano. And that's something that you would work on with your singing. I mean, please, dear God, don't just like start your singing journey sitting down behind a piano. You need to start standing up. You need to make sure that you're feeling the connection of the whole body, feeling that pulling up, especially with our support muscles. And then you go and work behind the piano. Like, don't think and go like, just because Faouzia is doing it, you know, I can do it. She's been doing this for a long time.
Time for me to go.
And again, we hear there obviously a louder sound, but she took the microphone slightly further away and she was singing across the microphone. That's a great way for singers to reduce the amount of input going into the microphone to keep things like relatively steady. We need to learn about microphone technique, because we're not always in situations where we've got these awesome systems behind us, and especially not at the beginning of your journey. And honestly, microphone technique is a little bit, in my opinion, it's an extension of singing technique for contemporary singers, because if you're using a microphone, you have to fucking learn how to use it properly. Otherwise, honestly, the amount of times I've had like students just sing like directly over top of the microphone drives me batty. So that's something that we do work on as well. Microphone technique. How do you use it? What do you do? What can you do with it?
Even if loving you wasn't fame.
I love that. And she dropped the larynx down at the end again to kind of bring on that more sorrowful sound, I think, and to accentuate like this whole sort of like look that she's going for and the sound and the meaning of the song. To be honest, I'm not really listening to the lyrics. So when we had that, even if I die, and she let that go, and it's really about changing the sound and the colors of the sound when you're singing. That's what makes it interesting. But it's got to be like what you find interesting. Yeah, don't just copy Faouzia.
Even if I'll never be the same.
Up on the B4 there. So that is technically for a lot of singers, and I'm not talking about Faouzia because she's very, very, very highly trained and we know she can sing higher. But for the beginning of singer's journey, that's kind of like where the chest voice likes to crap out. So around that B4, I would say if you're going to, it's quite a good song to work on your chest voice, to be honest. Maybe few too many lyrics to work on the chest voice, but it's nice and slow and doodly. So we've got that lovely trumpet mouth shape. And probably on that vowel, she's not really too worried on that B4 about the tongue position. It's sort of more of like a call in that moment. When we would go higher, we would worry a little bit more about the tongue position for that part, like for that belty sound. Because you can, I'm not even going to attempt to do that. Thin vocal folds. And did you notice though, she really pulled back on the volume. So making sure that you're playing with the loud and the quiet is so important, especially when you're going higher. Like generally, we want to pull back on the volume. Oh, that's so fantastic. Obviously, it was recorded somewhere else. We just have to give it to her to that. Fantastic performance there. I really, really love it. I love how simple the song is, actually. I mean, if I was listening to the lyrics, I'd have to listen again to like really listen to the lyrics, but often simple songs are the hardest to sing because you've got like fuck all when it comes to all of that shit going on with the melody, and so you have to really all the shit going on with the melody. It's really highly technical, but that's just how I talk in my singing lessons. The shit going on with the melody, yeah. So what we've, the tricky part with singing these types of songs, you actually have to put some thought into what you're singing and how you're singing it, because like you saw there, we were like captivated by the performance, and there wasn't a hell of a lot going on with the melody. So well, there was, anyway, whatever, half with the melody. Fight with me if you want in the comments. I really don't care. It's like my subjective opinion on that one. But it is very difficult to sing these types of songs because you don't have a lot going on. And so this is a really, really good practice to work on songs like this, to say like, okay, well, actually, how many colors am I going to bring into my sound? And how can I deliver the song so that my audience feels what I'm aiming for them to feel? Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love that about Faouzia. She sings with so much soul. And I mean, honestly, I think that any singer who's, worth anything and has any type of career in singing is actually singing with their soul, because otherwise no one's going to watch you. So anyway, thus endeth my TED Talk. If you are looking for singing lessons in 2026, then hit me up down in the description below. You can apply for my online singing school, The Vocal Academy. Really annoys me in a lot of these. I'm just going to stand on a soapbox a little bit. Like, really annoys me in these vocal courses that I see everywhere. There's like no one-to-one singing lessons, and it drives me batty. Like, you have to have feedback, and that is why it was so important for me to add in one-to-one singing lessons inside the Vocal Academy, because you have to like have someone looking at you go like, no, Tina, stand up like this. Like, we were talking about this, but this is how you can change it. So that's why we have one-to-one singing lessons. You also get in small practice groups. Like, it's very, very, very small, looking at featuring, at working with you so that you know exactly what to sing, how to sing it, and that you can just like, we give you what you put in. And I'm just going to get off my soapbox right then. So yeah, anyway, you can't learn to sing by just listening to a whole, singing CD or anything like that. You have to get feedback, okay? Have to get feedback. So anyway, it's down in the description below. Have an awesome rest of your day. Just remember, anyone can learn to sing. Anyone. We're going to be working on techniques like this Have an awesome rest of the day. I'm just happy singing, honestly. Singing's awesome. Go and sing. Have some fun. Taki te anō.